recognized for as much time as he may consume.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today I rise in strong support of House Res 101, providing the acceptance of the statue of Ronald Reagan for the people of California for placement in the United States Capitol. First, I'd like to thank my colleagues who joined me in the original letter requesting the California legislature to pass a resolution to bring the statue of Ronald Reagan to the United States Capitol. A special thanks to California State Senator Dennis Hollingsworth for leading the effort and carrying the resolution in the state legislature. I'd also like to thank the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation for their support and work in bringing the statue to the Capitol, and also artist Chris Fagan, who I'm sure did a remarkable job in sculpting the statue of Ronald Reagan. In my 16 years in the House, initiating the effort to bring the statue of President Reagan to our nation's capital has been one of my greatest privileges. Like many people, President Reagan helped shape my political views as a young man, and as the co-chair of his Riverside County campaign back in the day, I was, of course, very proud to see him succeed in becoming the 40th President of the United States. As we find ourselves today struggling with hardships and conflict, President Reagan was also confronted with a troubled economy and uncertain times, not just as the governor of California, but later as President of the United States. In both cases, his characteristic optimism and can-do attitude helped meet those challenges. Ronald Reagan was elected the 33rd governor of the state of California in 1967, and during his administration led California toward a creative society, one that, quote, turns away from increasing reliance on government and leads toward renewed respects for and greater relevance on the collective genius and common sense of the people, end quote. As president, he inherited the economy facing double-digit unemployment and inflation. President Reagan initiated sweeping economic reforms, deep across-the-board tax cuts, and implemented sound monetary policies to contain inflation. His policies resulted in bringing the economy out of recession and turning it into the largest peacetime economic boom in American history. The country also facing a continuation of a 35-year-long Cold War. President Reagan, in his famous June 1982 speech in the British Parliament, described, quote, a plan and a hope for the long term, the march of freedom and democracy which will leave Marxist-Leninism on the ash heap of history, as has left other tyrannies which stifle the freedom and muzzle the self-expression of the people, end quote. 5 years later, Reagan delivered his courageous address at the Brandenburg Gate in West Berlin near the infamous wall and demanded Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall. This was the beginning of the end of the Cold War and also signified a new beginning for relations between the United States and Russia. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, there was many accomplishments for me to name here, but it's clear that President Reagan was a Californian, an American, and a patriot. California is proud to have such a leader as both governor of our state and president of our nation, who brought so much greatness to the world. Today, I encourage all of my colleagues to support the resolution and bring the statue of President Ronald Reagan to the Capitol so that visitors from all over the world can honor the man who declared America's destiny is to be a shining city on the hill for all mankind to see. And I reserve the balance of my time.
Does the gentleman from Pennsylvania continue to reserve his time?
Yes.
Gentleman from California?